Alright, so getting ready to install a Super ATV 1/2 inch thick skid plate on a 2021 Can-Am Commander. It's the Max XT. So I've done a bunch of different little videos on this thing, and my videos jump around and kind of just try to hit little points that might would help you. I'm not real good at this whole video on and editing and all that, so just trying to help somebody out that might need it. But this is what we're installing. So it's their 1/2 inch thick. Now, I'm pretty for sure in the instructions they tell you to lay this thing on the side. I'm not a big fan of that. I've laid it on its side, but it wasn't intentional. It's been on its side twice. But if you have access to a lift, I'm going to show you how to get it up in there and getting under it. I don't know if I'll say safely, but to where it should work. If you don't, then you can find ramps or a bunch of different ways to do it without laying it on its side. Unless you just want to lay it on its side, you can go that route. I'm just not a fan of it. I don't like having all my oils laying on the side of the engine and the gearboxes and the cases and everything. But what we're going to do is we're going to cradle the front tires. I'm going to take straps to make sure those can't spread. I'll probably take a jack and get them under just a little bit better. And then we're going to put it in neutral and raise her up. But I'll come back when I've got that started. So let's start out as, I'm not a trained professional. I make bad decisions all the time. So you might not want to do this at home, but this is how I'm going to do it. You do with it what you want. Alright. So we took a jacked it up, that way the cradle will be good enough that the wheel can't fall through. Strapped it just to make sure the lift has locks, so they shouldn't come apart anyway, but I didn't want to really risk my being squashed by side on the locks. So with the straps on, it shouldn't theoretically be able to go anywhere unless something gives or breaks. Next main thing, make sure you're in neutral. You don't want the lift to have to drag the tires whenever you're going up. The sideward strain on the lift could potentially make the lift fall over. But it should. And there you go. So should be easy access. If it falls, it's going to be a bad day. But should be able to get to everything. We'll have to get on a roll around to get the back. But this is the first time I've looked under this in a while. You can see why I'm putting a skid plate on it. We ride in Eastern Kentucky, so we ride Hollerwood and Rush. We go to Tennessee to Brimstone, Windrock, and everywhere we go, we have rock and ruts. So we're always dragging the belly. You can see where I've already, this is the factory. She's already ripped a couple spots. So that's why we're putting the thicker one on it. I've got a 3/8 on the razor and it's done fine, so hopefully this 1/2 inch will do okay with this one. Get set up and get started, getting the old one off. Alright, so I've got all the rivets out of the front part. Pretty much I used a 1/4" drill bit, drilled the heads off of them, and then used a, look at the mess I got. So, looks like a 5/32 punch to knock them through. That, and get you a good screwdriver in case they start turning on you before the heads pop off. Make sure it's a good sharp one, not one that's, you know, substituted for a chisel a few times. But I don't know why they would ever rivet these on, just because of that reason. It makes it kind of hard to clean out from under them. Yeah. The razor, I take the skid plate off it usually about once a year, just to get it clean. And I wonder why they have drive shaft vibration, huh? Can't figure out what to do to fix it. About a solid carb bearing. Yeah. Alright, move on to the bottom and get with it. Alright, on the second half, just kind of give you an idea of what's going on, how this is working. So, 1/4" drill bit, center of the rivet in the hole. And if you're lucky, they just pop off. See if we can get one that don't here. Alright, see how that one started spinning. Screwdriver, wedge it in under. We'll try to wedge it in under. Sometimes a little persuasion, or it just comes off. But once you get them there, then you'll need the punch to punch the rivets through. That's just what you're doing everywhere. They just say a lot of them. I didn't count them, I guess I could have. But we'll go with a lot. Anywhere there's a rivet, drill it out on the bottom. From what I've seen. Alright, so the second piece is off, and I failed to mention earlier, there's 6 bolts here in the front. It comes off first thing. These are T30s, and then there are 4 bolts. There's 2 on this side. These are 10mm, and 2 on that side that have to come out. I don't think there's any on that back piece. I think that's all the bolts. All the rest of it's rivets. But I gotta go back and get all these out. I ain't real sure how to get them out of the frame yet. I have to try to figure that out. I don't know if they'll rattle being in there or not, but try to figure out something. And I'm just looking at how much rust is already under this. I guess I should have mentioned this thing has about 230 miles on it, so it ain't that old. I just had it for a couple months. 2 weeks of it's set at the dealer trying to get that drive shaft junk fixed for them to just say that they want to fix for it. Alright, got the final piece off of it. There was the final dirt haul. I don't understand why they wouldn't bolt this on, that way you could clean out from it every now and then. But I was wrong about the bolts. I'm always wrong about something. But there's 2 more T30s. They're right here on the back in the fender well that has to come out on that back piece. There's still all kinds of dirt up in there. So now that I got that one off, I'm planning on taking it outside and pressure wash it and try to get the bottom as clean as I can. And I'm probably going to get some type of undercoat to put on all this rust to try to stop it, prevent it, and then do a little straightening before I start putting the other back on. Because We've hit a few big rocks somewhere. It did some bending. See if I can get those straightened out somewhat. And I even bent this over here. But here we are so far. I'll come back whenever I start putting another one on. Alright, so it's been a day or two. Next day I was off work. I have somewhat cleaned underneath this thing. Went ahead and painted all the rusted areas that I had. Used some undercoat. Looks like I missed a spot. Should have used a lot, I guess. I'll spray it in here a little bit. And then I've laid out the skid plate the way that it should go. I kind of watch the instructions, because the instruction shows it flipped upside down. Or flipped opposite of the way it should be. Just laid there. I'm going to go ahead and put the back end on. The piece that goes right here. Well, I've got it on the lift this way. But then I'll have to put the front end up again like I had it. But we're going to get started. Alright, so the middle section's in. I did all hit. So in the back, these two bolts here. Let me take it back. These two bolts here. So the instructions. Yeah, so the instructions tell you that you use these two factory holes, but you do not. It's these two that line up with the factory hose. Then you have to drill everything else. I actually was able to get this one to line up too. Besides for that, all the rest of them had to be drilled. But I put them two in first. And then put one up here. And put the next piece on with one. Alright, so I lost the battery here somewhere. But not real sure where it went out. Anyway, try to start from the get-go. Well, I had it on the lift. I did the whole middle section. Started with the back. There's two hoses that lines up to start with from your original hose that you don't have to drill. The instructions show them as one thing. Well, it's not them. It's the two further back from that. And once I did that, I just took off with the middle. Pretty much just lining up with my frame, making sure I was even from side to side all the way. I was able to do all the middle while it was on the lift, and then I put it back down and raised it back up. So the sides, as I started them, I started in the middle, got all of them just with a few bolts in them. There's a really big gap right here, all the way down. I ended up setting it down, put the side by side down, and took a jack to push everything up. That way I could get my boat started and in. Once they drawed up, it drawed up alright. Only problem I got now is, so Super ATV gives you a spacer to put under this on both sides. Well, I'm beginning to wonder if their instructions ain't wrong on that too. Because with the spacer here, it does this big old gap. So I'm probably going to try taking this spacer and flipping it to here. That way to push this one down. Or maybe even take the spacer out. I'm not real for sure, but it's on both sides like that. The only thing I can figure is it's because that spacer's in here and not right there. So I'll get that done. It's going to be a job just getting back in there to do that. But I'll change that around and see if that helps. Hopefully it helps. If not, I'm going to shim it myself to get all that out, because there's a spot here. This really needs to be shimmed too. So I'll probably end up putting some shims under that boat to bring this down so that lip. It don't matter if the lip's the other way. But this way, as you're going forward, if you go over rocks, you're going to hook them. Another thing I don't know if I'm real fond about is this. So these ain't recessed on this. It'd almost been better to just have these non-beveled washers. Just something that was which I'm going to assume rocks is going to go over them pretty good. Hopefully. But it ain't been that bad of an install, it just took a while. It's a lot of drilling. And Super ATV sends you a drill bit. I'm paying attention to my mess. Somewhere. Nevertheless, they send you a drill bit. It's alright to go the next size up. It makes it a little better just because their self-tappers are not real great. I ended up drilling a little bit bigger than what they was just to help them out. I mean, they will self-tap, but it's a lot more work if you don't. But that's it so far. I'll come back after I move those shims. See if that takes care of that over there, if I want to have to shim it with washers or something. But I'll let you know. Alright, so it seems no matter how you use the shim, you end up with a lip. So I moved, the shim was here, and I had a big lip. I think it was, this was sticking down. I moved the shim over. Now I got a big lip there, and one here. I took the shim out, and now I got a lip here. So what I'm going to do is cut the shim and just put it under this bolt, which should bring that out, and that should have it smooth. So we'll do that, and then probably get me a little washer or two to put behind here to get rid of this little spot. But alright then, moving on. Alright, so I ended up splitting the bracket that comes from the Super ATV. I done did one side. It's about the best case scenario that I can do. I'll walk out and show you what it looks like on the one side where I've already got it, but I got the torpedo running. It's 26 degrees here this morning. It's a little cold in the shop, but probably won't be able to hear me out there. But I'll show you where I put this and what it looked like afterwards. Best case scenario that I've been able to come up with. So that's what we're going with. Alright, so that was the best case scenario I could come up with. Put them under the third bolt over on both sides. There's still just a little bit, but it ain't that bad. I even looked on the Super ATV and pulled up their picture of this. Even on their picture, you see these little edges right here. So that's the, I don't think it's going to be bad enough to really catch on anything, and if it does, it should wear down. That's what we're going to go with. I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm happy the fact I can just take out the middle section and get to the drive line. I've actually got a solid carrier bearing coming for this thing, try to take some of the vibration out of it. Whenever I take it off to do that, I'm going to see if I can't put something under here, get that gap a little better. But that's it. It's on there. I'm happy with it. It could have been, fitment could have been a little bit better, but for the most part it wasn't that bad. Y'all have a good one.